علي 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 دل علي دلبر علي سرور علي راح علي رهبر علي محشر علي جان علي جان الأبطال لما نادى عيدها لما نادى عيدها بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
What does the US-Israel attack on Iran mean for the economy? War doesn't just move armies, it also moves markets, and its effects can reach ordinary people even far from the conflict. Let's break it down. First, energy prices are expected to rise, especially oil. Iran is one of OPEC's major producers, pumping out just over 3 million barrels of crude per day. It also borders the Strait of Hormuz, making the narrow shipping lane vulnerable to attacks. 1/5 of the world's oil passes through there. Even before the strikes, Brent crude had climbed to a 7-month high, trading above $70 per barrel because of war fears. Following the strikes, some shipping companies have reportedly paused or rerouted vessels, and now some analysts warn that oil could hit $100 a barrel. And that matters because when oil rises, so do the costs of transport, manufacturing, and fuel. In the United States, for example, gasoline is currently averaging close to $3 a gallon, and analysts are warning it could rise as high as $3.15 in the coming weeks. That may not sound dramatic, but across millions of drivers, week after week, it adds up, and it feeds into broader inflation. And if inflation remains elevated, central banks may delay interest rate cuts. That means monthly payments and borrowing costs, from mortgages to car loans, could stay higher for longer. The impact doesn't stop there. When geopolitical risk rises, stock markets become more volatile. Investors pull out capital, and currencies can shift. Beyond financial markets, several countries, including Iran, Iraq, Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait, have closed their airspace. More than 1,800 flights in the Middle East were cancelled on the first day of the attacks. For airlines, that means lost passenger and cargo revenue. For businesses, supply chain disruptions. For travelers, fewer options and potentially higher fares. Rerouted flights also burn more fuel and face higher war risk insurance, adding further pressure to airline costs. The scale of the impact will depend on how long the fighting lasts and how far the conflict spreads. But the past has shown that the effects of war rarely stay confined to the battlefield.
It's not going to take years. It's not an endless war. I said it could be quick and decisive. It may take some time, but it's not going to take years. It's not an endless war.
And they will never have nuclear weapons. This is not Iraq. This is not endless.
We're already substantially ahead of our time projection.
We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties.
How involved is Britain in the US-Israeli war with Iran? Well, according to Prime Minister Keir Starmer, the UK had no part in the initial deadly US and Israeli strikes on Iran. And he's been pretty clear in his statements, saying he has no plans to commit British troops to what he described on Monday as any, quote, unlawful military action.
We all remember the mistakes of Iraq, and we have learned those lessons.
Despite this, the UK, however you want to frame it, is involved in the war with Iran. British Typhoon and F-35 jets have been deployed for several days, according to Number 10, intercepting missiles and drones targeting coalition bases and allied nations in the Middle East. And on Sunday, Starmer went a step further, giving the US permission to use British military bases to target Iran. He says to destroy Iranian missile launchers and storage depots. This, according to the PM, is not an indicator of government backing for the US and Israel's broader offensive campaign, nor a signal of the UK having any wider involvement in the war with Iran, but rather an act of, quote, collective self-defense of regional allies. Iran's counter-attacks, in the eyes of Britain, have gone beyond the scope of direct retaliation, targeting civilian infrastructure in the region and British military assets, including a UK military base in Cyprus, which was struck by a drone attack on Sunday. It's this fragile distinction between defensive and offensive military action which, according to Number 10, keeps the UK in line with international law. So for now, the UK is stopping short of offering its full support for the US and Israel's military campaign. The country's defense secretary on Monday stressed there must be a strong legal basis for putting British troops in harm's way. The US, however, has warned of even more powerful strikes on Iran, with President Donald Trump not ruling out the possibility of US boots on the ground.